Hello, this is Rob. I am attempting to start a part 2 video. I apologize for the technical glitch, as probably lost some of the folks on the live stream due to the glitch. But if you are back, leave me a comment. Let me know that you have rejoined, and then we will continue the walk. Of course, one challenge about doing these out and about is that you never quite know what is going to happen. All right, we have an oof, a thumbs up, and a back. Unfortunately, this means that this one will be split into multiple parts, but we just gotta roll with the punches. As happens when you try to do anything live on YouTube, you're never quite sure what you're gonna get. Passionate Patriot from Augusta, Georgia, welcome. Eddie, thank you for rejoining. I'm glad folks were able to find the restarted version. Who knows how long we'll be able to go before we run into the next technical glitch, but we will give it a whirl and see how far we can get. All right, I love it there. What is there? Was that the Einstein Memorial? Hopefully you got to see most of the Einstein Memorial. We confirmed that the echo generally does not work. Denise from Las Vegas, Nevada. VM Arlington asks, what street am I on? This is Constitution Avenue Northwest. The interesting thing about this street is that it was once the Washington City Canal, a mostly failed canal project. I guess I shouldn't say that, that's a little harsh. It worked until it didn't. So we are continuing for a few more blocks here on Constitution Avenue. Just waiting on the light. And then I will continue to show you some of my favorite of the hidden gems. Yes, it is a nice day for a brisk walk. I will agree, VM Arlington. The Capital Weather Gang in the Washington Post, they rated today a 6 out of 10 on their scale. And they described it the same way they described it the last time I was out and about doing one of these. They said it's the kind of day that looks nicer than it feels. And I think what that means is that it looks like a pretty nice day, but because it's cold, it feels like kind of a lousy day. Gabrielle asks, how many times have I gone to the White House? If you're talking about outside the White House, hundreds, maybe thousands. If you're talking about inside, probably less than 10. All right, so this is the Eccles Building, the main office of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. And I don't know if this one's much of a hidden gem, but it's a building that I walk past with tour groups all the time, and they say, wow, what a cool looking building. What is that? And so the Federal Reserve Board of Governors meets in here. The chairman is currently Jerome Powell. And this is essentially a big and very nice looking office building. Now, if you know about the Federal Reserve, you know that it is our nation's bank for banks, and they have a lot of money. But this building does not have any money. It is essentially just an office building. So if you come here and ask how to get to the vault, they will probably laugh, because I'm sure lots of people ask that. But there is no vault at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, because you'd have to go to one of the 12 Federal Reserve branch banks in order to see that stuff. All right, so a little bit of as we go to our next spot. There are 12 Federal Reserve banks across the country, And you will have to visit one of those to see the vault and to see the money. Now, which of the branch banks, what city, has the most money? I think this one's probably easy when you think about it. And which one has the least money? So without Googling, let me know if anyone knows which of the Federal Reserve banks has the most money and which one has the least money. Because there is no money at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, Eccles Building, headquarters here in Washington, D.C. All right, California has the most, probably, and that is not correct. All right, NYC has the most. That is the correct answer. Dale says NY the most, Cleveland the least. I think that's a pretty reasonable guess. No one has gotten the least yet. We've gotten the most. The New York Fed has the most by far. There's a guess for Denver. That is not correct. Eddie says Knox. I think you mean Fort Knox. That's where the gold is allegedly kept. The interesting thing about Fort Knox is that it does not have the most gold. The Federal Reserve Bank in New York City has the most publicly known amount of gold in the entire world. So in the vaults, under Wall Street, in Manhattan, is more gold than anywhere else in the world, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. All right, no one has gotten the least. I'm surprised no one cheated and Googled yet. The Federal Reserve Bank with the least money is Minneapolis. So New York City has the most. Minneapolis has the least. Tyler says DC has the least. Technically true, since there are $0 at the Federal Reserve Board of Directors headquarters in DC. Washington, D.C. actually falls in the Richmond Fed jurisdiction. Now, if you have money, cash money, you can look at it, and it will have the code for the Federal Reserve Bank where that money came from. So I have 2 bills in my wallet. I was checking on the way over to the Lincoln Memorial. One of them from the San Francisco Fed, the other one from the St. Louis Fed. So the way that you know is by the letter code, A through L. That is how you know which bank it came from. Yes, Evan, here I am. Thanks for finding your way back. Sorry about the technical glitch. But when you're out live, you never really know what's gonna happen. All right, so we have arrived at Constitution Gardens, which is this little body of water here. Constitution Gardens has had a bit of a fraught history over the years. During World War II, it was used by the military. And Richard Nixon actually served in some of the buildings on this location here on the National Mall. He hated it. He hated it so much that one of his missions in life was to have those buildings taken down, taken away. And while it was not the president's decision entirely, he was at least successful in convincing the people in charge of the military to do that. So we have this nice little park. In the summer, there are ducks. I think I see some ducks off in the distance over there. But the reason I want to show you something over here is because across this little wooden bridge right here is a pretty unique monument that very few people know about. Bummer that the live stream was not listed in the subscriptions. Probably lost some folks who disconnected and could not find their way back. But when you're dealing with technology, you got to take what you can get. So this is called the Memorial to the 56 Signers of the Declaration of Independence. A gift from the American Revolution Bicentennial Administration in 1976. So, in 1776, a group of our founding fathers met in Philadelphia, and they signed the Declaration of Independence to tell the King of England that we were done. So if you come over to this little peninsula, island, I guess it's a little island here, in the middle of Constitution Gardens, you can see the Signers Memorial. And if you get up close, you'll be able to see carved into the stone and colored in gold, the signatures of each of the signers. Now everybody knows the most famous signers. They know John Hancock. He's got the big signature. They know Thomas Jefferson. They know some of the others, but there are a whole bunch of signatures from folks who I bet you didn't even know about, unless you're a big history buff, of course. So you come over here and you can take a look at the signatures of the signers of our Declaration of Independence. Now I know that John Hancock was from Massachusetts, and these are organized, not alphabetically, but by the state where these people lived. And so, come over here, we have the John Hancock signature right there, you can see. And in addition to his signature, we have his printed name, we have his occupation, and we have the city where he lived. So, get a little bit of additional information about each of the signers here. John Adams, also from Massachusetts, if you recall, right here below. And so, that is how these signatures are ordered. It's not the biggest, it's not the grandest, but it is, in my opinion, one of the coolest, lesser-known monuments right here on the National Mall. That's a lot of lakes in D.C. Well, I don't think that this is considered a lake. I would probably call this a pond. I'm not sure what the actual official designation of this body of water is. There are reflecting pools. There are rivers. I guess I would call this a pond. Let me know what you would call this. If you looked at this and you didn't really know what it was, what would you call this body of water? Leave a comment and let me know. So this area has been, it's an area that's had grand visions over the years. At one point, they wanted to maybe make it into a National Mall Visitor Center. You know, it's had problems with algae in the water over the years. It's been kind of neglected, to be completely honest. Eddie said, had no idea about it, so cool. Yeah, the thing is, lots of people come to Washington, D.C. Millions of people walk between the Lincoln Memorial over there to the Washington Monument over here, but they don't take this route because it's a little out of the way. They take the direct route, and as a result, they completely skip this. Tyler says he would call it a tidal pool. Eddie, a large pond. A stream. Are there fishes in there? I don't think there are fish in here, but I could be wrong. There are definitely fish in the tidal basin, which is over by the Jefferson Memorial. There are people who fish over there quite often. I have never seen anyone fishing in here, so my hunch would be to say there are probably not fish, or at least not enough of them, to make it worth your while to come over here and try to fish. Albert says, nice view in the water. It is kind of a nice view because it's a sunny day, and so you get a bit of a reflection of the sunlight off of the water that you would not get if it were a typical gray February day. But maybe I can try to get a wide angle of the pond. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty nice on a nice sunny winter day here. Of course, you know, got no leaves on the trees or anything, so you know it's obviously a winter day, but not too bad. Could certainly be a lot worse. Tyler says that is a huge amount of space. I agree. It's a big open space that really isn't used for very much. So lots of people have had grand visions for this area over the years, and every time someone comes up with a new grand vision, it almost never pans out. Mike asks, is it frozen? I think it is frozen, but there is no way I would step out onto it. You can kind of see some of the leaves frozen under the water right there. There's a few that are on top, like those, and then the ones that are darker color, those are actually under the water, so it is definitely frozen right here, but there is no way I would step onto that unless I wanted to take a really, really cold winter bath, which I do not. Are there still troops around? I think you're asking about National Guard. There are still National Guard near the Capitol, which is not where I will be going today. A lot fewer of them than before, but more than 0. I don't know the exact number. So the next place I am going to go is the World War II Memorial. Now, because it's winter, and because the World War II Memorial is designed with a giant fountain in the middle, we are not going to get to see the water today. I think it's cool that they designed the World War II Memorial with the giant fountain, because in the spring and summer, it is a beautiful sight to see. But the problem is, we have 4 seasons here, and so for a solid quarter of the year, this memorial is without its water, which is kind of a bummer. Is the snow really slippery? The snow itself is not slippery, but there are patches of ice that I'm trying really hard to not step on. Okay, Gina says she saw on the news that the troops are leaving March 12th. Cannot confirm that, so we will take your word for it for now. Now, I need to be very careful as I walk along this path, because as you can see, quite a bit of ice over here. Albert says, technical question, are you using a DJI Osmo? Yes, I am. The same DJI Osmo that all the YouTube people have. It is pretty nice, I will say, although I have had some issues with it, but that's for another time. All right, so as you can see, no water in the World War II Memorial. Normally, you would have a pool in the middle, right over here, and then you can see the jets around the perimeter here. Those would be shooting water up about 5 feet into the air. And then you have the 2 really big jets, that one there and that one there, and those would be shooting water even higher up into the air. But like I said, in the winter, the water is drained and the fountains are turned off. So unfortunately, you get quite a different experience when you come here in the winter. When I take groups through here in the winter on real tours, I feel really weird because with all the water, it's very noisy in here, as you can imagine. And so when the water's turned off, it's very quiet, and I feel like I'm screaming at everybody because I'm used to having to speak so loud when I'm in here. Okay, Spencer asks, is it true that it is okay to take your shoes off and put your feet in the water? In the summer, many people were doing that, and I heard it was okay. If there was ever something that us tour guides kind of cringe at, it is the question about putting your feet in the water. Yes, it is okay. And a few years ago, they added signs that explained why it's okay. At the end of World War II, American Allied troops celebrated the end of the war by splashing around in water features in the places in the world where they were serving. And so because the World War II Memorial has a big fountain in the middle, the idea is that you can take off your shoes and put your feet in and enjoy in a similar way that our troops would have at the end of World War II. Now, putting water is different from putting your whole body in the water. It's different from walking around in the water or swimming. You're not allowed to do that stuff. A big part of that is because it's just not safe. Imagine you're walking in the water barefoot and you step on one of those giant jets. That wouldn't be very pleasant. And so they definitely don't want you doing that for safety and legal reasons. But if you want to, if it's a hot summer day, you may take off your feet. You may take off your shoes. Obviously, don't take off your feet. Take off your shoes and put your feet in the water. Eddie says, I've seen and heard that too, yes. So before they put up the signs, it was a big debate over whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, respectful, disrespectful, all that stuff. I don't see the signs out today. They probably took them away for the winter. But I do have a photo of the sign that I could dig out sometime and show. All right, so the reason I took you over here is not to show you a World War II memorial without any water. It's to show you Kilroy. Does everybody see Kilroy? The little bald guy over here? Let me try to point to him. There's Kilroy. So Kilroy is a little cartoon guy that our troops drew everywhere during World War II. And I've heard people say, if the internet were invented in the 1940s, Kilroy would be a meme, because essentially that's what he was. You would draw this little guy with his big nose sticking out in his hands, and you would write Kilroy was here, or some variation on that. And there are a lot of pretty wild stories about Kilroy. When it comes to the Allies and the enemies, they thought that Kilroy was some sort of spy symbol. If you really want to go down a rabbit hole, or you're a big World War II history buff, you probably know all the stories about Kilroy. But he was a symbol, a little cartoon symbol that was known among our World War II veterans. And so when they built this memorial, they wanted to incorporate this. Now, most people have no idea that this is here. And I don't even show it to people on the Trip Hacks DC Monuments Tour because it's so obscure. But because I'm doing the hidden gems of the National Mall today, I wanted to come over and point out Kilroy. Evan says there's two of them. Yes, there are. There's one on this side. We're on the north side right now. And then there's one on the other side, on the south side, where I will not be going all the way over to. But I do want to come over here because this is one of my favorite views. Most people get a view of the reflecting pool from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. But you can also come over to this side and get a pretty cool view of the reflecting pool from this side as well. Okay, Rifki asks, how about the Capitol? Is it open now? No, it is not. And Abby Walters, welcome. Good to have you. Andrew is watching too. Well, I'm glad that you're watching, and sorry about the technical glitch earlier. I'm glad that you were able to find your way back. So, yeah, pretty cool to stand on this spot and get a view of the Lincoln Memorial. Now, it's a little iced over, so it's not the best reflection, but you can definitely see the reflection of the Lincoln Memorial in the water over there. The purpose of this reflecting pool is to reflect the Washington Monument, which it does from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. But if you come on this side, you get to see a reflection of the Lincoln Memorial as well. Somebody's mom says hello from California. Hello. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Did I see the video of the VP running up the stairs of the Lincoln Memorial? Yes, I did. The Lincoln Memorial stairs are very popular with exercisers, especially in the morning. If you're an early bird, when you're here on your DC trip, if you come see the monuments and memorials in the morning, you will probably find more exercise people than sightseers at the Lincoln Memorial. People like to run around that area, run up and down the stairs. If you've seen Captain America, Winter Soldier, you know that he is running around the National Mall in the beginning of the movie. Doesn't run up and down the stairs, but definitely runs right past the Lincoln Memorial. Mike asks, would the best way to see everything is to take a bike around? Well, it depends. There's really not an easy way to see everything, quote unquote. If you want to see all the monuments, I think the best way is to take a guided tour. I do mine on foot because I think it's no more or less efficient than doing it on a bike. But if you want to go all the way from the Capitol to the White House to the Lincoln Memorial, a bike is probably the fastest way to do that. Tyler asks, how often do they clean it? What are you referring to with it there? Luden says, wow, I thought Washington, D.C. was on lockdown until March. Not sure what that means. The word lockdown has been kind of badly abused this year, I think. There was never a time that Washington, D.C. was really locked down, quote unquote. There was the week before the inauguration when the National Mall was closed, but that is about it. All right, Jeff asks, when do I think tourism/museums will return to normal? If by normal you mean 2019, probably not till way later in this year. If you mean open at all, probably in the spring or summer when more people have gotten a chance to get their vaccine. Christian, hello from Queens, New York. Hello, Christian. Oh yes, Evan, remind me that these monuments, including the Lincoln Memorial, were in Wonder Woman 1984. Did you like that movie, Evan? I thought it was good, but could have been way better. So if you've seen Wonder Woman 1984, let us know what you thought about it. I will give them credit, they did a really good job with the DC scenes, but I thought the movie, the plot, could have been a bit better. All right, need to watch my step here so I don't slip on some black ice. Alistair, do I have any tour guide recommendations for Philadelphia? Not off the top of my head, I do not. I don't know too many tour guides in Philadelphia. But if you leave a comment on this video after it posts, I might be able to look some up for you. Ludin says, I thought that R was closed because of security until March. So there is a security perimeter around the Capitol that folks who live near the Capitol are not at all happy with. But that is, as far as the city goes, a relatively small part of the city. And so that is closed until March. So if we're referring to the Capitol fence, then yes, it will remain up at least for a little longer. Alessio, hello from Rome, Italy. Hello, thanks for tuning in. And Alistair, yes, I don't know any tour guides in Philadelphia, at least not like I do here in DC. But I am sure there are plenty of excellent tour guides. It's such a historic city. Mark, tuned in from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Including, you came here for the 4th of July 2018. Well, I'm glad you are joining me here today. Peter says the World War II Memorial felt more like a 50 states memorial. I agree, I'm not the hugest fan of that design choice, putting all of the states individually, but Peter, the World War II Memorial is not for me and it's not for you, because neither of us served in World War II. So if the World War II veterans are happy with it, then that is what is most important. Jason says hello from NC, and thank you for doing these videos. Of course, I hope you are able to visit post-COVID. Tyler asks, what is my favorite memorial? Well, they're all my favorite memorial for a different reason. But if you forced me to choose just one, I'd have to choose Lincoln, because that one is the stunner. It's the fan favorite. All right, it's a bit of a breezier day than I realized, as you can see with the 50 U.S. flags flapping in the wind up here at the Washington Monument. But the reason I'm taking you over here before I wrap up, because my fingers are getting a bit cold, had to take off my glove to restart the live stream and was not able to get it back on. So I'll probably wrap up soon, but I wanted to take you to a very obscure monument over here that is not the Washington Monument. Ludin says, Washington, D.C., so close to the water. Are there any water tours? Yes, there are. There is water taxi, that is more like transportation, and then there are boat tours. There are little boat rides around in the area. You can take a boat to Mount Vernon, George Washington's home. Now, the thing is that not a lot of the sites are really that viewable from the water. You can see the back of the Lincoln Memorial, but you can't really see much else. So unlike, say, the boat ride in Paris, where you can see a lot of the sights from the water, here, not so much. Gina T, thank you for the super chat. And go buy warm coffee. I certainly will. Need to get some kind of hot drink afterwards to warm up my hand, at least, that I had to take my glove off to restart the live stream. So thank you for finding your way back. I apologize for the technical glitch. That stinks that it happened. But that's the risk we take when we go live out and about. All right, so what is this weird thing right here? Anybody know what it is? Before I tell you? Go ahead and take your guess while I answer a few of these questions. All right, let's see here. Am I going to the real center of the district? Not sure what that is referring to. And scaffolding at the Jefferson Memorial, is it still there? Yes, it is. I think it's most of it's still there. I haven't been over there in about a month, but I'm pretty sure it is. We can take a look from a distance in a moment. And let's see. I heard you can go inside the Washington Monument. Yes, you can, but not right now. It is closed due to COVID. Eddie says, is that a mini version of the monument? That would be an excellent guess. I don't know how tall this is. 1.5, 2 feet tall Washington Monument. A mini version. It is not. Good guess, though, Eddie. Somebody's mom says a light. Another good guess. I like that one. And the Washington Monument's baby. That's clever. It is what Adam said, the Jefferson Pier marker. So Thomas Jefferson, he was the third president, but before he was the president, he did a lot of other jobs, including as Secretary of State when George Washington was president. And when he was Secretary of State, he had an idea. He thought that the prime meridian of the world should run through Washington, D.C. So you know what the prime meridian is. It's the international date line. It's where we measure all time off of, amongst other things. And the current prime meridian, international prime meridian, is in Greenwich in England. I got in trouble for mispronouncing that recently, so hopefully I got it right. Greenwich in England. But this was Thomas Jefferson's proposed spot for the prime meridian in Washington, D.C. And he came up with this spot by going to the White House, to where the White House was going to be built, and basically standing outside the front door and drawing a line directly to the south, and then coming over here and finding the Capitol Dome off in the distance. You can't see it here because we're at the bottom of the hill. And then drawing another straight line from there. And where those two lines intersected is this spot. And so this is called the Jefferson Pier, named after Thomas Jefferson. All right, another guess, a monument to the builders of the Washington Monument. I like these guesses. You guys are creative. And a Washington Monument for ants. That is quite clever. So you can see the White House off in the distance over there. And let's turn around and see if we can see the Jefferson Memorial and see if the scaffolding is still up. So there's the Jefferson Memorial off in the distance over here. And I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there is definitely 100% still scaffolding up around the Jefferson Memorial. So hopefully that answers the question. Eddie, thank you for the super chat. And I'm very glad you were able to make it. Sorry about the technical glitch. And happy you were able to make it back. Hope you can make it to DC soon enough, Eddie. I know it's been a bummer that you haven't been able to make it lately due to COVID. Albert, €10.99. Thank you, friend. I recently had someone ask if I ever get tipped on tours in foreign currency. I thought that was an interesting question. I have never received foreign currency in Washington, D.C., and I don't know why I would. When you travel to a new country, you exchange your money for the local money. You don't try to pay people in your home money. So I always think that that's a bit of an interesting question. Just going to go up to the top of the hill so we can get one last view of the city before I disconnect. Albert says, buy a hot dog. I don't know if I'm in a mood for a hot dog today. I think I want something a little more gourmet than a hot dog. But thank you. I definitely will get some lunch because it is about lunchtime. Eddie says, hopefully fall for a visit. Alessio says I should upgrade to a chili half smoke. Not a bad idea at all. What is my... There aren't a ton of gourmet places to eat near the mall. I would say my favorite place on the mall is in there, the African American History and Culture Museum, the Sweet Home Cafe. A lot of people say the American Indian Museum has the best cafe. It's not bad. I certainly don't disagree with that, but I think the best is the Sweet Home Cafe at the African American History and Culture Museum. Unfortunately, I will not be eating there today as the museums are not open. Bummer to hear that my tours were booked up in 2019. If it was in December, I would have only been running private tours. I do not run the public tour in the winter. Skylab, hi from Virginia Beach. Happy to have you join. Eddie says, can't remember the location, but remembers a McDonald's with a food truck. That was the Air and Space Museum, Eddie. They had I don't know if it was a truck, a cart, I'm not sure how I would describe it. But it was basically like a mini McDonald's outdoors. It was at the Air and Space Museum. That is gone. So I don't know if it's going to come back. The Air and Space Museum is under renovation. But that is exactly what you're thinking of, Eddie. Adam says, is that museum new? It opened in 2016, so it is the newest Smithsonian museum, but it is not brand new. Sammy, hi from Manassas, 30 miles away. Thanks for tuning in, Sammy. All right, so this is my favorite spot. I think I've shown this on a live stream before. The most viewed TikTok I've ever made was the one where I stood right here and spun my camera around and showed the view of the White House off to the north, the Lincoln Memorial off to the west, and the Capitol Dome off to the east. And of course, I had a bunch of teenagers dunking on me because I didn't explicitly say that you can also see, of course, the Washington Monument 20 feet away. All right, let's see. Alicio says, elevators, Washington Monument is free, or cost. It is free, but it is not currently open. Ryan, hello from Maryland. Hello. Thank you for tuning in. Karen, tuning in from New Jersey. Right now, it is closed due to COVID, like many things. But when it is open, this black glass building right here is the spot where you go for your metal detector. And then that's where you get into the elevator, which is inside the main part of the monument. And that will take you all the way to the top. All right, Beth, thank you for tuning in to the live stream. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. And Eddie says, looks icy. It is icy. I'm being very careful to watch my step because the last need is to wipe out while everyone is watching. And Tyler says, enjoys going here late at night. It is quite a nice spot to be after the sun goes down when it's all lit up. If you heard, Tyler, the National Park Service, their timer broke that controls the lights. So there was a few days when it got dark and the lights just didn't come on at the time it was supposed to because the timer was broken. I think they fixed that, fortunately. But people were wondering what's up with the dark Washington Monument. All right, well, thank you for everyone who tuned in on this cold Washington, D.C. winter day. Apologies for the technical glitch, but I'm glad that at least many of you are able to rejoin on the part 2. So, Alistair, didn't know I had a TikTok. Yes, I do. Go ahead and search TripHacksDC on there. It is not well advertised because I don't even know whether it's worth advertising, but you can check it out. Subscribe, follow along. Adam, fun chat. Thanks for coming and chatting with me. Adam, Albert, stay safe. I think you mean safe. You too. And Eddie, I'm very glad you were able to join this one live. I know you missed the last few live ones, so hopefully you can join if I do any in the future. Hopefully the weather will be more spring-like coming up in the next few weeks. All right, everybody, take care. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up. And as I always say, enjoy your trip.